Adolf Hitler. By late April 1945, Soviet tanks were tearing through the streets of Berlin, and Adolf Hitler knew it was over. The man who once commanded millions was now hiding underground like a cornered animal, inside a concrete bunker beneath the Reich Chancellery, surrounded by a shrinking circle of loyal followers. On April 29th, in a strange midnight ceremony, he married his longtime partner, Eva Braun. The next day, April 30th, 1945, Hitler said his final goodbyes. Around 3:30 in the afternoon, he and Eva retreated to their private quarters. What happened next was later confirmed by those who found them. Hitler had bitten into a cyanide capsule and shot himself in the head at almost the same moment. Eva, lying beside him, had only taken the poison. Their bodies were carried up the bunker stairs, soaked in gasoline, and set ablaze in the Reich Chancellery garden, while Soviet artillery boomed in the distance. The man who had sent millions to their deaths chose to escape judgment by his own hand. He was 56 years old. News of his death marked the end of the European theater of World War II and sparked decades of conspiracy theories about whether he truly died or somehow got away. Benito Mussolini. Mussolini spent his final hours running. The dictator who once strutted on balconies preaching about a new Roman Empire was now disguised in a German military coat, trying to flee to Switzerland. On April 27, 1945, communist partisans stopped a German convoy near Lake Como and found Il Duce himself, hiding like a common criminal. He and his mistress, Clara Petacci, were pulled out and held overnight. The next day, a partisan commander named Walter Audicio arrived with orders to execute them. They were taken to a villa gate in the village of Giulino di Mezzegra and shot with a submachine gun. Their bodies were driven to Milan, to Piazzale Loreto, the same spot where Mussolini's regime had once executed 15 partisans and put their bodies on display. Now it was his turn. A crowd gathered fast. People kicked the corpses, spat on them, fired into them again. One woman reportedly fired 5 more shots into his body, once for each of her dead sons. The bodies were then hung upside down from a gas station roof, while the crowd cheered beneath them. News of his brutal death spread across the world, signaling the final collapse of fascist Italy. Kim Jong-il. For 17 years, Kim Jong-il ruled North Korea with an iron grip, building a personality cult so extreme that propaganda claimed he could control the weather. But in December 2011, he died from something painfully human, a heart attack. On December 17, 2011, he suffered a massive heart attack while traveling by train, reportedly triggered by physical and mental stress. He was 69. State media stayed silent for 2 days before announcing his death, claiming he passed away during a field guidance tour. Officials admitted he had hidden diabetes and heart disease from the public for years. When the news broke, a state TV anchor dressed in black wept on air, and footage showed citizens collapsing in theatrical grief in the streets. His body was embalmed and placed in a glass coffin at the Kumsusan Palace of the Sun beside his father. Unlike many on this list, he died of natural causes, never facing justice for the starvation and executions of his rule. Power passed smoothly to his son, Kim Jong-un. Joseph Stalin. Stalin ruled through terror for nearly 3 decades, and that same terror may have killed him. On the night of March 1, 1953, he hosted a late dinner at his estate outside Moscow, drinking heavily with officials who lived in constant fear of his purges. Around 4 a.m., he dismissed everyone and retired alone. Hours passed. Normally, he summoned his staff by mid-morning, but March 2nd came and went in silence. His guards sensed something was wrong, but were too terrified to enter without being called. By the time someone worked up the courage that evening, they found the 74-year-old dictator on the floor, partially paralyzed from a massive stroke, having lain there for nearly 12 hours. He lingered for days, unable to speak, while doctors tried to save him. Some historians believe his own guards delayed on purpose. On March 5, 1953, at 9:50 p.m., Stalin died. The Soviet Union mourned publicly, but many privately felt relief. Rafael Trujillo. Trujillo ruled the Dominican Republic like his own kingdom for 31 brutal years. On the night of May 30th, 1961, he was being driven outside Santo Domingo when several cars blocked his route. Conspirators, many former military officers, quietly backed by the CIA, emerged with weapons. His car was riddled with bullets. Some accounts say he fired back before being struck down. Within minutes, he was dead on the roadside. His body was stored in a car trunk for hours, while his assassins debated their next move before loyalist forces eventually recovered it. Chaos followed. Some conspirators were executed, others fled, and the country spiraled into political turmoil. Nicolae Ceausescu, Nicolae and Elena Ceausescu, spent Christmas Day, 1989, in front of a firing squad, caught on camera, after ruling Romania for over 2 decades. As revolution swept the country, they tried fleeing Bucharest by helicopter on December 22nd, but were captured within hours. 3 days later, they faced a rushed trial lasting barely an hour, charged with genocide and embezzlement. Elena protested it was illegal throughout. The verdict was never in doubt. Minutes after the trial ended, they were led to a courtyard wall and shot, their bodies riddled with over 100 bullets. The execution was filmed, and footage aired on Romanian television that same night. A stunning fall from power to execution in just 3 days. Pol Pot. Pol Pot, architect of Cambodia's genocide that killed up to 2 million people, died quietly in a jungle hut in 1998. After his Khmer Rouge regime fell in 1979, he lived as a fugitive near the Thai border for nearly 2 decades, eventually placed under house arrest by his own former movement. On April 15, 1998, he died in his sleep, reportedly of heart failure, just days after remaining Khmer Rouge leaders agreed to hand him over for an international war crimes trial. To prove he was truly dead, the Khmer Rouge displayed his corpse to journalists. There would be no trial, no accountability. He was cremated on a makeshift pile of tires and trash. Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein's execution on December 30th, 2006 was meant to be solemn and controlled. It wasn't. After his trial for crimes against humanity, he was sentenced to death by hanging. At dawn, he was led to an execution chamber in Baghdad. Someone in the room had a cell phone. As he stood on the gallows, guards taunted him with sectarian insults. Saddam responded by reciting prayers until the trapdoor opened. The moment leaked online almost immediately. His body was returned to his family and buried in Tikrit. The execution sparked global controversy. Some called it justice. Others condemned the disrespect shown. Muammar Gaddafi. Gaddafi ruled Libya for 42 years with a bizarre mix of brutality and eccentricity. On October 20th, 2011, he died begging for mercy inside a drainage pipe, filmed on cell phones. As rebels closed in during Libya's civil war, he fled to his hometown of Sirte until NATO airstrikes destroyed his convoy. Rebels dragged him out, bloodied and disoriented. Videos captured him pleading, asking what he had done wrong, as jubilant fighters struck him amid total chaos. He was reportedly shot in the head and died shortly after capture. His body was later displayed in Misrata inside a commercial freezer before being buried in an unmarked desert grave. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for similar ones and drop your suggestions for the next video in the comments.